Morning everyone, and today we are going to start with the Dbms topic, my dear IT students. Last class we discussed about just the introduction part of what do you mean by data, what do we mean by database, and the two different types of the basic database, that is called flat file database and the relational database. I hope everybody is clear with the concepts of data, database, flat file database and relational database. Today we are going to discuss about what is DBMS, that is Database Management System, and after that some advantages of using DBMS. Now, last class we discussed about what do we mean by database. When we have to manage this database, we obviously need a software where we can manage all these kind of things. So, Database Management System, that is DBMS, comprises of the data and the software that maintains the database and that allows us as a user to retrieve the data, to manipulate the data, to store the data. So, after creating a database in DBMS, in Database Management System, a user as we can store, retrieve and manipulate the data. Manipulate means editing and changing the data in many different ways. So there are many different DBMS available nowadays. Some of them are Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server, Postgres and many more. Clear, students? Now next, what we are going to discuss is all about the different advantages of the DBMS. Now the first and the foremost advantage of the DBMS is it reduces data redundancy up to a very huge extent. Now what do we mean by data redundancy? Redundancy term itself means duplicacy, means two same thing, duplicacy. So if you students look at the table carefully, the highlighted portions if you see on the table, that is the doctor ID, doctor name, visits and room. Okay, so there it is written 01 helpage, 01 helpage, 01 helpage. Two times it is written there on the same table. Clear, students? So this is when we enter one data twice, that is called duplicate data. Okay, so whenever you are going to enter records in a table, the system will not allow you to enter records with the same IDs. As in your classroom, being a student, if suppose you are sharing a roll number 1 or 2 or any other roll number, is it possible that in that same classroom another one student is sharing your roll number? Absolutely not. One roll number is assigned to one particular student only. So similarly, while entering records in a database, if by mistake, that means intentionally or unintentionally, it can be unintentionally it can be done or intentionally can be done, but in whichever way, if we try to enter duplicate data, then the system will show us a warning message that data redundancy is not allowed. It means with roll number 1, if I write one student name, suppose with roll number 1 I have written a student name called Mohan, then with another one name I am going to add with the same roll number as roll number 1, the student name is suppose Ram. So what will happen is, as soon as I start entering the records for Ram, after that I go on to the next data, the system will show me an error that the data is not saved because there is a data redundancy. There is a duplicacy of data. Clear, students? Now next advantages is it can control data inconsistency up to a large extent. Now data inconsistency means what? When we enter the same records many times and because of that if data not match, that is called data inconsistency. Just look at the table, dear students. It is written Dr. ID 1 and doctor name is Dr. Mohan. Again look at the third row. Again it is Dr. ID 1 and doctor name is Dr. Mohan. And then Dr. ID is 1 but the doctor name is Dr. Harpreet. So here you can find it out that due to data redundancy, due to the duplicacy of the problem, this duplicacy is entered in the book because of the flat file database, because flat file database does not recommend, or we can say does not stop data redundancy. Clear, students? So here what will happen is, because of the data redundancy problem, the same data entered many times, and because of that the data inconsistency happens. It means one number and many records. Okay, so this not leads to a successful database. So DBMS stops this. Next, we can say the advantage is it facilitates sharing of data. Sharing of data means, if suppose one user has created a database, then the next user can use that database very clearly without any problem. Okay, it means the same data can be shared by many users and in many platforms too. Next advantage is it ensures that the data follow the standardized structure and format. Means when we need to enter the records in a table, when we're going to enter the data in the database, then there is a structure we need to follow. There is a format we need to follow, that under this data type, these kind of records only can be entered. So that is always followed by DBMS. Next is it ensures data security and privacy by carrying out authorization checks. It means once the data is ready, once the database is created, after that the DBMS ensures that the data will remain secure, and if a person is not authorized, is not an authenticated user, the database will not allow to handle that data to that particular person. And the next data advantage is it ensures data independence. It ensures data independence means, suppose a database is already created. Now it is not necessary that the database will remain same for a long time. It means, suppose I have created a database of your class students, and what happened is, suppose roll number 5 of your class, when I was creating the database, is resides in area somewhere near Narangi. But after 1 year or after suppose few months of time, that particular student shift from Narangi to Patharkwari area or to the Sadgaon area because of any reason. So, is it necessary that we need to change the address? Absolutely it is necessary. It means whenever I am going to manipulate the data now, I am going to edit the data now, it will not going to hamper the applications anyhow, it will not going to hamper the other records anyhow. Okay, and if that particular data is used to any other interrelated tables, then if the changes have been done in one table, automatically the changes will be done in all the tables. So students, with this I would like to close today's class. So let's first recapitulate what we have done today. We discussed about what do we mean by databases, what are the different databases available nowadays. Then we discussed about some advantages. We discussed about data redundancy. We discussed about data inconsistency. Then we discussed about how we can share the data, how the data follow a standardized structure and the format. What do we mean by authorization checks, and at last we discussed about the data independence. So students, go through the video, and if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me. Take care everyone. Have a good day.